You will know that our music sections have been meeting on their practice nights by Zoom, and we've been really pleased that our section leaders have arranged for special guests to join us. And only last Thursday, we were really privileged to have Bandmaster William Himes from the USA Central Territory, a renowned Salvation Army composer, bandmaster, and an all-round good guy, join us for a fascinating evening to delve into his life and his music. But one of the tales that Bill told us that night was how he came to write the little chorus that many of you will know called All That I Am. And I'm so pleased that Bill is able to join us over Zoom this morning. And Bill, thank you for joining us at Chelmsford. Welcome back. You've been with us many times before, I think.
Yes, it's great to be back at Chelmsford. I have many happy memories. A weekend visit years ago. And then when we came over for the Boundless Congress, I think, or ISB 120, one of those two things. We were at Chelmsford for a whole day, got to do two performances in that fantastic cathedral. Yeah, many happy memories.
Great, yeah, we've had happy memories of you and of the staff band as well. So Bill, just this morning, our songsters are going to sing as part of our virtual church. They're going to use your song, All That I Am, and you told us on Thursday a little bit about how you came to write that, and I just wondered whether you'd be kind enough to share the story around that little chorus with our congregation this morning, please.
Oh, thanks. You know, the Salvation Army was born out of adversity. You know, it was in the heart of the conflict in the East End of London, and so many of the songs there are battle songs, and even some of the happiest songs that you think sound like a greeting card or just very very sweet, shall we say. When you look at the history behind those songs, you realize that many of them were written out of adversity, out of not always persecution, but what I call the crucible of life, where bad things happen to good people. Jesus said the sun and the rain fall on the good and bad alike. You know, we're not exempt from our human frailties. And so this little, what started out as a chorus was really born out of that kind of crucible. In fact, it was in 1992 that my world just came to a crashing halt. My wife of 21 years, Wendy, who had just received the doctor's terrible news that she had breast cancer. And she had conquered it, we thought, 5 years earlier with the usual extraction surgery and that kind of thing. But now it's back in another form. It's in bone. And it looked very ominous. And so what do you do? What do you have to say to God when something like that happens? You've got 2 children at home, school-aged, and you're thinking, but we're doing all the right things. We're doing all the things that God wanted us to do. Why does this have to happen? And it coincided with, she qualified for a special hospitalization that was called a bone marrow transplant. They were experimenting with this with breast cancer patients. And basically they bring you right to the edge of death. And they, all your immunities are canceled. And it's such a strong chemotherapy that ultimately they take the bone marrow cells that they've harvested from you and multiplied, and when, as you're near death, they reinfuse you with your own cells. The body replenishes, and then life is supposed to go on from there. And so it was during that very uncertain time, she was in the hospital for 1 entire month, and then out for a month, and then knowing she had to go back in for 1 more month of the same thing. The second month is the hardest because you know what you're now facing. The first month's a surprise. Second month is terrible. So that coincided with our music school, the equivalent of your territorial music school, our Central Music Institute. And as the music secretary, I'm in charge of that. And it's up in Wisconsin, just an hour or so across the Chicago border. So I'd get the staff and the students, some 300 of them, with student, staff, counselors, all going in the morning. And then I'd drive into Chicago and spend the day with Wendy. And then I would drive home to the camp in the late afternoon in time for the evening programs. And that was my regime for those 10 days. So I got back to camp on that Saturday evening program, went to bed, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd had this tune going through my head, but no words. And 4 o'clock that morning, I awoke and all these words were fully formed. All that I am, all I can be, all that I have, all that is me. Accept and use, Lord, as you would choose, Lord. Right now, today. Take every passion, take every skill, take all my dreams and bend them to your will. My all I give, Lord, for you I'll live, Lord. And this part was the tough one, come what may. I penciled down those words very quickly on some manuscript paper to the melody that was already in my head. That was easy. And I took it down to the morning service that we have on that Sunday. I'm usually the speaker. And I gave the music to the pianist who could play by ear and follow chord symbols and all that stuff. And I said, I'm going to teach the kids a new chorus today. And so I taught it to them, and they just took it up like they'd always known it. And by the next week, the second Sunday, I had had an opportunity with primitive music computer scoring that they had back then to actually engrave a copy of the chorus so that everyone could have it. And we photocopied it. And I've always said a lot of trees die for Sunday morning services because we give, back then, no audio, video stuff. It was all in your hand. So they had oodles of paper. And a lot of times you, after the service, will go about just picking up all the stuff that got left on the chairs. But after that second Sunday, there was no paper in the hall. Everyone had taken that chorus with them. And from there, it just went all over the world. And you'd think, okay, that's a happy ending. But a couple of years later, Wendy's illness returned, her cancer returned, now in the form of bone. And in the meantime, I'd also written some verses about 6 months after the chorus that said, often I come with my problems and cares, running to you when distressed, but I must bring you the whole of my life. Lord, I must give you my best. And the second equally simple verse was, life has no purpose unless it is yours. Life without you has no goal. All that fulfills me is doing your will, knowing you're in control. And those words and the music sort of are in conflict. They're not back in the home key. And then it always resolves to the chorus, all that I am, all I can be. And I found a publishing company in town that was very interested in publishing this as a choir piece. And I said, now, you need to understand that this is a song that's very near and dear to the Salvation Army. And I would not want the Salvation Army to have any restriction on using this. They said, oh, no, they can have it freely. They can use it, as long as they just list our copyright, we're fine, And they issued a letter in that regard. And the piece was published, and I was able to actually get a dedication line on the top of it that said, to Wendy, for her faith and courage. And she was able to see that. And by then, the cancer had returned. She knew she was on borrowed time. But she was really thrilled to see that. And then she had this envelope, and she gave it to me. And she said, I think it's time we look at this. And I said, well, what is this? She said, well, when I was in the hospital 2 years ago, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. So I planned my funeral. And she was always a planner. She always, thought well ahead of things. And I said, you're kidding me. She says, no, and I want it to be happy. I want to sing Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. And I want the songsters to sing Goodbye, World, Goodbye. And she had just so practical. She says, I want my funeral in the evening because I don't want people to have to take time off from work. And she just had all these very practical and joyful thoughts, And she looked over her hypothetical order of service. She knew who she wanted to speak and all that. And it all came to pass just as she planned it, except for one thing. And she got to the end of the program and almost smiled deviously and said, but we must sing All That I Am at the end, because she knew it had been written for her and it didn't exist when she wrote that plan. And so it was that at her funeral, 500 people amassed in our core, even into overflow and video, and we sang her song at the end, and it was literally heavenly and a lasting memory to us all.
Great. That's fantastic. Bill, thank you so much for sharing that very personal story, but a song that has to use modern parlance, has gone viral in a great way. And we're really blessed that we can use it. We're blessed to have someone of your immense talent share that with us. And thank you very much for sharing the story with us this morning. God bless you and your ministry. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope the Lord will continue to use that song for his good work.
Thank you. And now Songsters will sing All That I Am.